have to, yeah. Yeah.
There we go. All right, I'm going to recall our reunion to order at 1:10 to be official. And this is the 117th annual Shuster Trestle Wingate reunion. And I said before we started recording that I'm certain that Daniel and Margaret would never in a million years have imagined a reunion like this in these crazy times. We're in the middle of a 2-year term for our reunion committee. It's the 2020 to 2022 reunion committee. And I'll just real quick introduce everybody. I'm the president, Debbie Schinker. Vice president is Brian Lux. And our treasurer is Ken Scott, and his wife Pauline is filling in for him. And our secretary is Jeff Marshall. So that is your reunion committee. And now we would usually do first-timer welcomes. I don't think anybody here is a first-timer. Everybody's been to these reunions in some way, shape, or form. Although, with us last year, Arlene. Okay, well then some of this is it's your second year, but nobody's first year. No first-timers this time around. So now on our agenda, we usually just go around and do introductions and updates of all of us here and update everybody briefly on what's been going on with us for this last year. And I have some reports from those who couldn't make it. So I will start just so you have time to collect your thoughts. Pauline asked about my children. So I started coming to these reunions in 2001 when my second child was a month old. So those little girls are now 20 and 22. Live not with us anymore. They are both college age students and they are living about 5 miles away. They have an apartment together in Kent, Ohio, attending Kent State University. One is studying English, the other is studying geology with a theater minor. That's the youngest one, no shock there. And we have all fortunately been very well this last year. Nobody's caught COVID. We've been doing what we're told to do. We're all fully vaccinated and just happy to be living our lives as best we can during these crazy times. And my husband has never come to a reunion. He's bouncing around upstairs somewhere. My parents are still around. They live in Florida. They're in their mid-70s. They've been to a few reunions here and there, not very often. And my sister sends, Dawn Kumiga sends her greetings. She had a rehearsal. She's a bassoonist, and she had a rehearsal for a performance that she's participating in and couldn't get out of that rehearsal. And she was here last year for her first ever reunion and was hoping to come this year and wanted me to change the date. And I said, well, it doesn't work that way. So that is me. Who would like to give our update next?
Well, I'm Karen Skeels. Formerly, my maiden name was Kothmeyer. Bill and I have been married for 56 years. And while we were dating, we found out that we both come from Samuel Trestle and Elizabeth Sparks. So we are third cousins once removed. And our children, Justine and Drew, are also our cousins. And so we like to kid about that we had the plastic surgery on their forehead, their third eye removed. Yeah, but they look fine. We do have 2 children, and they're 15 years apart. Justine lived in South Africa, is married to a man from South Africa, and they now live in Virginia, but we've got to visit them many times when they lived there for 11 years. So, and our son lives here in Tucson. We're in Tucson, Arizona. And
we have 5 grandchildren.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, 5 grandchildren. 2 of them live here. 2 of them live in Virginia and 1 in California, and she's going to college there. So that's why she's in California. The 2 in Virginia are in junior high and in high school, and our 2 that live here in Tucson, one of them is just gone into 3rd grade and the other one is just going into preschool. So yeah, that's the deal there. And it's good to see everybody.
Same here. I did lose my sister Trudy, of course, who's also a relation. She passed away last year, last May. So in case anybody's keeping records of anything.
Oh,
And-
sure. We'll get that in the minutes.
Yeah, and so did my mother, and that was Jean
Yeah,
Cook.
but she wasn't related.
No, she wasn't, except to me.
Yeah.
Well, but that's still hard. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
That's a lot for 1 year. It's hard.
Yes,
Yes.
she was 95. My
Yeah.
mom was 95, but Trudy was much younger.
Yeah.
She was 72.
Yeah.
Too young.
Too
And that's
young,
about
yeah.
it.
It's really good to see you guys.
Thank you.
And it's just fascinating, the whole cousins thing, especially because you didn't find that out till after you were married, right?
No, right
Yeah.
before, soon before, but by then it was too late to break it off. I mean,
Well, you know, there's
my
plenty of
grandmother,
history of that.
yeah, my
Yeah.
grandmother's the one who recognized it when she heard Bill's last name. And she said, oh my goodness, my favorite cousin is Milo Skeels. Of course, the Skeels has had a lot to do with starting this reunion. Arthur.
Yes.
And I think Susie probably knows way more about it than I do. But yeah, so she said, could it possibly be that you're related? So we went to the Red Book, and sure enough, that's where.
Oh my gosh. There's a proud history in this goofy family of lots of cousins marrying cousins.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. When we all lived on farms, and yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think, you know, we've been in Tucson now for 45 years, but prior to that, when we were living in Canton, Ohio, I was teaching at Tuscarawas Valley High School. So I'm guessing that probably half of those students I was related to and didn't know it.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm always surprised, Brian and Susan, when we're down that way, how many relatives just are there and never have
Right.
prayed.
Yeah, we never figured it out.
Actually, hey Jeff, when you're jotting stuff, well, I guess we have it in the database. I was gonna say we should note like which city and state everybody's from.
Okay.
We can get that in the minute, but I think it's all in the database too, so we could fill that detail in later. That
Okay.
way, when we're traveling, we can find each other too. If we ever get to travel again.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I'll go next.
Okay, Susie.
Yeah, I'm from the same skills line as Bill and Karen. There was a mention of Arthur Skeels. He's my great uncle, and he was the one who published the Red Book. So anyway, it was some other cousin who had done most of the research, but he was an educator in Columbus, Ohio. The only other reunion I've been here to is the one a year ago, virtually on Zoom. I've been wanting to come in person and probably would have made it last year if it weren't for the pandemic. But I will certainly come to the next in-person one that you have, because I've been dying to get back up there. I made a very successful genealogy research trip to Ohio a few years back, and attempted to find where I have something like 6 great-great-grandfathers who had farms in Tuscarawas County, so I tried to find them all, and I've got better information now, and I kind of went across the state and stopped at every church where anyone was buried, and visited all my cousins, most of whom are still in Ohio. But anyway, I'm just dying to get back and have an extended trip up there again, not just for the reunion. But I heard about this reunion ever since I was very small. My family never went. We always went out to Ohio for a week or two to visit relatives, but we never made it to this particular reunion. We made it to some other smaller reunions, well, smaller then. But anyway, yeah, for me, virtually nothing has changed since last year. I keep saying I'm semi-retired. I'm maybe a little more retired than I was.
Hold on, Susie, one sec. Does somebody have music playing, or is that an ice cream truck? You guys hearing it, or is it just me?
Yeah.
I hear it.
Barely, yeah.
That's weird. Everybody mutes except Susie. Maybe we'll hear her better.
That's better.
Hang on just a second.
Maybe it was Susie.
Yeah.
I have music playing in another room of the house.
Oh,
Well, I could hardly even hear it. So
that's what we were hearing, maybe because of the computer. I just thought it was an ice cream truck and it was making me hungry.
Right, no, I'm just amazed anyone can hear it. Anyway, where was I?
You said, yeah, your family used to come for.
Oh yeah. The thing is, we never actually made it to the reunion, to this particular reunion. But I'd been wanting to for years, and I really want to make another trip up there. Talk about going somewhere where just about everyone you turn around is a cousin. My mother's family, a whole lot of my ancestors are from a very rural county in central Pennsylvania, and literally there, I was talking to someone just as she knew the local history, and it turned out she was my fifth cousin. So the joke was you couldn't throw a stone there without hitting your cousin. So it's very convenient, though, to have all these relatives, all these ancestors from fairly sparsely populated counties, that haven't changed that much.
I've increased the volume.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just carrying on, still doing a little bit of work for a couple of clients. When you're self-employed, the concept of retirement is a little squishy. The biggest thing that's happened recently is my youngest brother, who is 19 years younger than I am, came out to visit from Colorado, and I hadn't seen him for 7 years, and he
Wow.
stayed for a week. He's thinking of moving here because he is now able to work remotely and live anywhere he wants, and he says nothing is tying him to Colorado. And his best friend from college and high school lives in Chapel Hill, next city over. I'm in Durham. And so we had a really great time. It's funny because he's sort of a different generation than I am, but we didn't really get to know each other till we were both adults, and I think that makes a big difference. Anyway, that was my big excitement. And I am also really looking forward to, seeing Bill and Karen pass through briefly. This is sort of my summer for having people visit, I guess.
Well, that's so fantastic. And open invitation, you guys, if you are coming to Ohio. I mean, I'm about 45 minutes north of those stomping grounds and the cemeteries, but you are welcome to crash here. It's happened before, and we'd love to have anybody related.
Well, anybody coming out west, we're always looking for people to come out here.
Yeah, and also Susie, we aren't staying for more than 2 weeks, so don't worry.
Yeah. My
Careful, she's going to hold you to that because you guys are going to have such a good time.
My brother didn't even stay in my house because I don't actually have a guest room, but he stayed at a motel a few blocks away from where I live. So.
Yeah.
And he rented a car so he could explore on his own.
Yes.
It was really fabulous. I was afraid that the heat and humidity was going to put him off, because it was like the hottest, most humid week we had so far this summer. But he couldn't get over how many trees there are here, from farther west, and he really loved it. So I'm holding out hope that he really does move here. It'll be 2 or 3 years.
Susie, it's really a blessing when you can connect with someone like that in a whole different way as adults.
Mm-hmm.
Sister and I have a whole different relationship now than we did as kids, and it's better.
And he was born when I was in college, and I only spent 1 summer at home when he was little. So, and then I'd come back and visit, for a few days each year. I couldn't really say I got to know him. He was just a little kid. And then we finally connected after he was living in California, and have kept in touch since then, but only seen each other very rarely because he's so remote from the rest of the family.
Well, he moves your way, maybe we can get him to a reunion too.
Maybe. I don't know. He's sort of he doesn't do any genealogy at all, but he seems real interested in things I find. You know, I think that's what a lot of people who are really into genealogy find, that the rest of their family isn't that interested, but you know, they'll sort of look at the photos and you know, want to know if you found anything really interesting. So anyway, I also wanted to mention, if anyone is interested in looking into,
I go next, you need to be here.
if anyone's interested in looking into DAR membership, I'm the
I'll let
registrar
you
of
know.
the chapter and can provide a lot of advice about that.
Well, yeah, let's see. So I'm DAR. I know Kathy's big time DAR. Arlene's DAR. And Susie, are you guys all in under Daniel? Because I am not. I'm under a different relative.
Actually, I went in under one of my mother's ancestors and then did Daniel Shuster as my first supplemental.
Cool.
And I became registrar about 4 years ago. So,
Debbie,
not to do more
Debbie, do you see Ellie? Ellie is trying to get in.
Yes.
Ellie Dorothy. Does she have her audio on?
Hi,
Yeah.
Ellie.
Me? I'm sorry.
Yay!
Hi. I'm so sorry to be late. I had the wrong time.
It's
Yeah.
all right. It's come and go, and we're just glad to see you. We're just still doing introductions and catching up. Why don't you go next, and then we'll know who you are.
Okay. Did I interrupt anyone? Do you want me to wait till after?
no, I'm done.
No, we were just
okay.
finishing, and we are recording, just so you know,
Okay.
if that's okay. So tell us who you are and how you fit in this crazy group.
Okay. So I am, I think I'm fifth great granddaughter of Daniel Shuster. I think it went Daniel, John, Henry, Florence, all Schusters. And then Florence Shuster married a Garvey. And then it went Garvey, me. So
Wow.
that's how I come in. And he's in the red book, Charles Garvey is. And he's in the blue book and the green book, but none of his descendants are. So we got omitted from that. And I live in Parkville, Missouri, just outside of Kansas City. I have 3 kids that are 13, 11, and 7. I'm an attorney with the federal government. And I spent the pandemic intending to build a family tree dating back to when they all arrived in America. But I never got past Daniel and Margaret in Pennsylvania. I'm just to the point where they moved to Ohio. But I found a lot of, I found the specifics of his military service. And he was a tavern keeper. I don't know if this is general knowledge or not.
Yeah, I knew about
What'd you say?
I knew about that.
Yeah.
I also found his parents.
Then when you turn, you can jump back in there.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Make
sit there.
yourself comfy anywhere you want to be.
And so it was a lot of fun digging into that. And I don't know what I'll ever do with the information, but I've got it.
Well, you'll be here joining us, and we're so glad because this is your first reunion, right?
It is.
So you're our only first timer this year. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So wait, so you tell me again. So it was John Shuster?
Mm-hmm. And then he
And
had a
then-
son named Henry.
Okay. So this is you guys who have been here before, at least in person. I'll see if I can show you. When we do the in-person reunions, we spend half the reunion trying to figure out how we're related, right?
Okay.
Because we're all from so many different generations. So I made these. Let me turn my self view on so I can see what I'm showing you. Okay, so I made these boards. Can you see these boards?
I can.
Just barely width. So it's literally, we could put Post-it notes on and know who's related to whom. So I have Daniel, Margaret, and all their children, and we have John Shuster, but we do not have that son of John on our boards. So you represent, Ellie, a whole new line to this reunion that hasn't been here in at least the last 13 years, probably.
Interesting. I think he while everyone settled in around Tuscarawas, if I'm saying that correctly, he went down to Hardin. He kind of branched off. I wonder if that has anything to
Well, it could be.
do with it, but
So we have this. So John had a child, Daniel Shuster, and another child, John Shuster, which would have been, you know, brothers of the descendant, the branch you are. So we've had, well, Arlene, you're here. Yeah, so you're down from that Daniel Shuster, right? According to my board, I just saw your name pop in. So.
And they were in Hardin County. My grandfather was born in Hardin County.
Is your middle name your middle name Carrie? Yeah, so my grandmother's side of the family are Carries, and they came out of Ohio and worked their way down to Missouri.
John Carey?
I'm sure there's a John Carey.
All right, well, yes, common. We'll have to talk because my grandfather's father passed away when he was about 9 or 10. And that's when his mother chose to move to Greene, where a lot of the Schusters migrated from Hardin County over there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you guys would be the most closely related in our Zoom right now.
Okay.
Possibly. Well, Melissa too. Melissa, we're working on getting her into DAR. But we've had a connection problem. So actually, Melissa, I'm going to be seeing Sarah to find out. She was going to, DAR has a task force that helps when you can't find a connection. And so I took all my books on Shuster out to our registrar for our DAR group in hopes of helping Melissa get in there. And so I'm not quite sure where she's at with that, but we're trying to get Melissa hooked up.
That's fantastic.
And then Ellie, I would like to, so I'm Arlene Stevens. I've been around for a long time, but I have only attended 3, one in person and then Zoom today and last year, because I live in Southern California, close to Melissa. So traveling at this time of year is a little difficult due to school schedules. And so I never get to go in person, but my grandfather, who was a Carey, lived in Ohio and lived to 98. And I think the last time he came to a reunion was maybe 2003 or 4. He passed in 05. And then my mom and dad and we were there in 2015 in person. And so for my DAR, I'm in charge of our Patriot 250, if those of you in DAR that know about that. So I have to give a little spiel every month on a Patriot. And so I'm going to start with Daniel. So Ellie, I may email you to find out what you know, because it sounds like you know some little tidbits that are probably more interesting than just the fact that he was a Patriot. And you talk about his migration into Ohio. So that's interesting to me.
And Ellie?
Hi, Carl and Kathy.
Hi. My sister lives in Parkville, Missouri.
Oh, really?
And my mother too. And I just got her entered to DAR this past month. So my mother and I are both in DAR now. So,
very nice.
I'll try and, if next time I'm up to Parkville to see my sister and mother, I'll try and give you a holler.
That'd be great.
So.
And just so you guys know, I have a database of about, I think there's 80 names on it now. We try to keep track of names, addresses, emails, although addresses aren't as important now because we're not doing physical mailings. So I haven't ever made that like publicly accessible just for privacy purposes. But if you need to get in touch with somebody else who's in the reunion and you can't get in touch with them through Facebook or something, let me know, because I can certainly help you connect with them. So,
okay.
Ellie, we're super glad that you found us and that you came here.
Thanks. I'm really happy to be here.
it's just like, it always like gives me a little thrill when there's like a whole new line of people. And I just can't help but think that like Daniel and Margaret just would be amazed at how many reunions and how many generations we're still getting together. They must have just been phenomenal people.
Mhm. Yeah, when I was looking at the documents that, and I won't presume that I've ever seen anything that someone else hasn't seen, but I guess what I really struck me when I looked at Daniel and Margaret was like he seemed like someone who loved his children a lot and equally, and he he provided for his daughters as equally as his son. And there's kind of an interesting bit about his daughters were the ones that led the family charge into Ohio by settling there first. And it seems like possibly kind of a unique story for its time. And not just passing it all to the first son, I guess.
And maybe that's part of what made this family so special.
Sounds like a book in the making.
We're due for another book because this green book is more than 20 years old now.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next?
I will.
Oh, I think Brian and Susan beat you to it.
Okay.
Say something.
My name is Brian Lux, and this is my wife, Susan. And my mother was Catherine Tressel. My grandfather was Chester Bryce Tressel. And my great-grandfather, John Tressel, is just buried not too far south of me here in New Cumberland Cemetery. And when my grandfather came through to go to the graves and put flowers on them, he'd stop here in the little town of Sandyville where I lived at the greenhouse and pick up the flowers to take down there. So I kind of moved back to my roots. So I have a daughter and her husband and 3 granddaughters that live in New Jersey. And my son and daughter-in-law and my son-in-law, or my grandson, live in Oklahoma. And we live in the little town of Sandyville, northern Tuscarawas County. So
Tuscarawas? Is that how you say it?
Tuscarawas.
Okay. I've been saying it all wrong.
Yeah, it's an Indian.
Yeah.
You know what it means, Brian?
I'm not sure.
Probably
I
related to a
always said
river.
Tuscaroras, but it's Ross. Rawis.
I've always heard it as Tuscarawas.
Ross. Okay.
Mhm.
So
My
don't
mother
feel
was
bad,
born
Ellie.
in
I've lived here my whole life and said it wrong. Arlene, who was your dad?
My mother was born in Sandyville.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And don't forget.
Arlene, I got to tell you too that I remember your grandpa from those early years.
Mhm.
I think I
Yeah.
went to visit him once.
My first reunion was probably back in the late 50s, early 60s. I'm sure my mom took me as a youngster. So, and I have some old pictures that Carl Warner showed me that I'm in. So,
Yeah. I know my grandfather was in touch with the people that did the Green Book.
Yeah, the chick.
And provided a lot of things. And then up in his area where he grew up as a kid, there in northeastern Ohio near Lake Mosquito. He was near Cortland and Green. They just called it Green. So there's a Green Book. And so there was a couple ladies really into the local history there. And he was a big part of that. He had great memory, even until he was in his 90s, well into his 90s, especially all the old stuff and all the pictures and stuff that we got are all labeled with who's who. So there are some Shuster things, pictures of big Shuster reunions that were held up there. Maybe they were held down there where you guys are. And I just assumed the picture was up in the Cortland area, but there were Schuster reunions, and I've got some photos of those.
I'd have to look at the green book.
Yeah, Arlene, if you ever get a chance to throw those up in the Facebook page, that would be awesome.
Okay. I know it was off of Daniel Arsemus line, somewhere down my line. I believe he was my great-grandmother's father. So there's some reunion pictures with them in it.
That's cool. Yeah, so that would have been 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at the chart. I don't have it memorized. That would have been the original Daniel's
You need to put your face in there.
great grandson.
Right. Yeah.
The Daniel Artemis Schuster. So with
Yeah.
Daniel and then John and then Daniel, they kept that name going all the way.
Right.
And
Right.
and then Roth, Elva, and then Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's us.
Did
We have
Chase
a
Brian
guest
away?
here.
Jan's gonna go. Hi.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Janice Dolvin Materna, married to Dave. He's not here because he's recovering from a cold. We're about the 6th generation from Coach Trussell. I hate to be a name dropper, but related to Coach Trussell from Ohio State. Dave and I have been married for 65 years. We're both 89. We're very blessed. We have 2 sons, no grandchildren. Let's see. My parents were Paul and Eva Dolvin, and they had 5 children, and I've lost 2 brothers, and I have 1 brother and a sister still living. Let's see. I don't know what else I could tell you. We're descended from the Catherine Schuster family, and that's about it. Okay, thanks.
And this is Janice's first ever Zoom, and we're so glad she went over to the Luxes and joined in.
And I'm probably the only one that doesn't have a computer, and we're too old to learn now. In fact, we're not interested.
So Janice,
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm related to the Tressels, but I'm also related to the Dolvins.
Oh.
So we're probably related twice.
Okay, very interesting.
on my grandmother's paternal side. Yeah. So
Before I married into this bunch, I was friends with the Dolvin boys when I was a little girl.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I
Jerry
didn't know
Dolvin
that.
and Kevin Dolvin.
Oh, that other, okay.
Those other ones. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
You guys will learn if you come to a in-person reunion when we have them again that Janice gives the best hugs. Just so you know.
Oh.
We're having a mini
I don't know about
reunion.
that.
I do.
Okay.
Oh, Janice, I'm just so glad to see you because it's been
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be anywhere at this age.
Yes, I'm so glad. First of all, I'm just glad you guys are around, but I think you're lying about that age. I don't think that's quite
so. I think she's making it up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No. 6:30, 32. My birthday. Okay. Thanks. See you at the live reunion. Hopefully.
Yes. Fingers crossed for next year.
If there's a vote, she's voting for a live reunion.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that in the new business because I have an idea. So.
Okay.
What's an idea?
All right, Kathy and Carl, you are paid. We'll jump in and then you go next.
Kathy and Carl Sylvie, we're in Decatur, Texas. We both grew up in Kansas. Most of my heritage that goes back to Daniel and all that is through the butchers side of the family. And my connection, I'm finding out, was through Sarah Schuster.
Yeah, it's being recorded.
So, and like I say, I just got my mother into DAR also. We have 2 sons, one in Kansas and one down here in Texas with us. Anything else?
So if Kathy, if we keep these boards up, Sarah is another line that she's on my board, but no descendants under her. And not that we don't know about them, but we keep the boards for the reunions. So we can put Post-it notes up and know how we're related. So the boards are not anything comprehensive like the books, but it does help us that all the generations are lined up horizontally. So it does help us look at the boards and know who the heck we all are when we come in person physically. So I'm definitely have to invest in several packets of Post-it notes so we can catch up boards when you and Susie and everybody come, and Ellie come back in person someday.
It goes down from Daniel to Sarah Shuster to Nathan Cordry, and then Sarah Cordry, Lucy Fugate, Fugatt, and then the Harold Butcher, and then my mother, Patricia Butcher.
Oh, so cool. So cool.
Oh.
And what's nice about Facebook, guys, is I have gotten to know Kathy a little bit better and all her DAR work. She's really active in DAR and won a lot of awards, I know, recently for her work. And Susie, too, I've been able to get to know. And, of course, Anne, since you guys came out in person, we've been able to keep up. So it's just really nice to learn a little bit more about these relatives that I never knew I had. Until recently.
We are anxious to come up to Ohio and see everybody.
Yes.
Zoom meetings are okay, but you can't get hugs.
Exactly. It's not the same. It's not the same. Although I must say, given what's happening right now, which we didn't anticipate, I'm glad for right now we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
So.
Carl and Kathy, where do you live in Texas?
Decatur, Texas, and it's about 35 miles northwest of Fort Worth.
Oh, okay. We're going to be coming through that area in a few days.
Way south.
But way south, yeah.
But way south.
We need to put together like the ultimate reunion road trip where we hit like the people.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Like the most giant, like, what do they call those when you go from house to house, like for meals or whatever? Not potlucks. What do they call those? Like one of the most giant one of those.
Progressive dinners.
Yes, like a giant progressive dinner for the reunion. Thanks, Polly. That would be fun. Well, I'm so glad you guys came back. I know last year was your first reunion. Just so... It's so cool that we can do it this way and catch people from literally all across the country. North, south, east, west, all the way. And I owe you a big hug. I can't wait. Who's next? You got the floor, Ann.
Okay. So I'm Ann Tressel Kern. And I think, Debbie, did we come out with my brother and his husband in 2016, was it?
Yeah.
Don't ask me for years. I don't remember, but yeah, that was right.
And then I did virtual last year and this year. And I really appreciate the virtual because traveling in the summer is challenging for me. So I would sort of put a plug in that it would always be nice to have a portion of every reunion check in virtually with people if it can't be partially, just for those of us who can't travel that year, we can still touch base and get a good quorum. So, so let's see, I'm related through Daniel and Margaret Shuster's daughter, Catherine Shuster, who married George Franklin Tressel. So I've got a Tressel and a Shuster in my lineage. No Wingates, as far as I know, unless someone wants to correct me. I think that was the original name of the reunion, right?
Yep.
And then George and Franklin had George Tressel and Sarah Mom. They married. And I think there was some cousin marriage back then, so it gets complicated. But then it comes down through Elijah and then Henry. My dad's still alive. His sister, Margaret, is still alive, but last year I had reported that my uncle Richard had passed away last year of cancer. And my brother couldn't make it this year, but he says hello. And what do I have to tell you? It's been an interesting experience. We actually lived in Marine on St. Croix for the last 10 years. It's a little river town on the St. Croix River in Minnesota. and it's a national park. And we decided to move to Minneapolis. Oh, look who's behind me. So this is my husband, Andy. And so we're, and he actually has roots in Ohio, but I don't think we're related, but maybe we'll find out years from now.
Andy, it's really nice to meet you. I feel like I know you from Ann's posts on Facebook, but it's nice to see you in person.
Well, thank you. It's nice to crash your party. But, from here, I just wanted to say hi.
Hey, you married into this, so you're part of this crazy party too, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I got lucky with her.
We're going to lunch, so I'll be here for a little bit, but then I'll have to Zoom off of Zoom. But in any case, I'm glad you keep this going. And I think, Susie, did you mention you have information about
Yeah,
parents?
I just messaged you with my email address.
Oh, terrific.
What I found was Daniel Shuster's father's will.
Oh, cool. Good for you. Was that in Germany?
No, I think Daniel was actually the third generation in the U.S.
Okay, all right.
It's definitely his father who died in Pennsylvania. It could be the whole family came at once with Daniel as a child, but the whole indentured servant thing was imaginary.
Oh, very interesting. Is this breaking news?
His father, and then his father mentions an older person who, it sounds like the father is talking about the father's father, who is also there. So I think 3 generations may have come at once.
Interesting. Well, this might be something I think we should.
Yeah, but I'm glad to send you what I found. But I did, I messaged you back with my email address, because that's the only way I'm going to remember is if you email me.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, that might be kind of fun for those of us on Facebook too, on that private group,
Yes.
discussion, because that'll keep it alive. And it's one of the few reasons I stay on Facebook is for little things like that.
Right.
Well, I don't have much else to say, but I wish everyone well, and it's good to see some healthy faces out there. We're all making it. We hope things are going to get better again. So.
Well, and when you and Peter and Randy came through, you guys found the location geographically of the old tavern that he used to run, correct? Not the building wasn't there, but you found the place.
Yeah, we found the road, and based on how the road played out and the other houses, we had a big suspicion of where the tavern might be. And I'd be happy to dig up the coordinates from my iPhone if anybody wants to see that. What was fun about that, which was just luck, we actually drove down the hill and went around and found this Lutheran church where Daniel and his family had gone to church. That was their church. And you could look from the cemetery back up onto that ridge where the tavern was. And you can imagine the buggy ride they took to get to church. And we all just felt really emotional about it because it was so easy to imagine ancestors walking those steps, and what a beautiful view it was. But a long journey to church, especially in the winter.
You find that video and throw that in that group again. It was really fascinating. I remember that video. So
yeah, I think Peter did. So I'll nudge him to do it. I have it buried somewhere, but yeah, that's kind of fun. And it was fun to try and find some trestle roots in Washington County, in Washington, the city in Pennsylvania. But I had limited time, and so it was just an hour or two in the basement of a courthouse, and you know how that is.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you could come back. I was just thrilled the year you guys came out from so far. And I remember you were nervous about coming, and it was just super cool to be able to stay connected. So,
yeah.
Oh, you're another one. Big hugs. That's what I owe you.
Thanks to everybody.
Yeah. Who's next? Jeff, Melissa, or Pauline? I think you guys are the last ones to talk here. Give us your updates.
Okay, well, my name's Jeff Marshall. I'm the secretary, and I'm descended from Daniel and Margaret's oldest daughter, and Barbara. She married a Studi, and that's how it came down to that line. My wife and I we have 2 children, a daughter that's getting married here in about 2 months, and her husband-to-be has 2 beautiful children that are grandkids now, and our son and his girlfriend, she already had a son, and now they just had a son a year ago. And we got to spend this last week at beach down North Carolina with them, and it was just a fantastic time that we had to spend with to the grandkids. So, and that's about it that I have to say. So, thank you.
Well, Jeff, when Jeff joined us, like you said, Jeff, this is only like your 4th or 5th, right? Reunion?
Yeah, right.
He just kind of wandered in off the street, found us somehow, and you were a whole different line too, down from Ann Barbara, because we'd never had anyone from Ann Barbara. And then you were like, well, I'll be secretary of reunion committee without really knowing what you were getting yourself into. So just so blessed by your presence and your willingness to help out and keep this thing going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Jeff and I only live about 45 minutes apart, yet we never get together. It's going to be the year, I think, Jeff, we're going to happen.
Yep, it is.
Okay, Pauline, it's you or Melissa. You're both muted. One of you, you're up.
Oh, okay. Melissa, maybe you could end up last. I'm Pauline Scott. I was raised in England, traveled to Canada and met my future husband, and he is Ken Scott. His father's mother is Etta Dolores and Tressel, and she goes back to Daniel and Margaret. And then we are descended too from Catherine and George Franklin Tressel. We come from that line too. So that means we are also related to Coach Tressel. Ken is the treasurer, and sorry, he's not here right now. He's not very keen on Zoom, but he has a reason, an excuse, because he had a hip transplant last Monday, and he's still recuperating, of course. And we live near Columbus, Ohio, not far from the Columbus Zoo. And we've lived here for 43 years in the same house. We live in an A-frame. That's why there's windows behind me, difficult to shut out the light. Fortunately, being able to get back to England on a regular basis because all my family are there. And we have been going through reunions for some years now, since Ken's mother died in 2002. She was Dorothy Dolores Scott and was very loyal to the reunions every year. I think that about sums it up.
And I would nominate Pauline for second best hugger.
Well, I have enjoyed watching Debbie's daughters grow up.
Literally, yes. You have literally seen them through all these years.
Yeah.
And as we all carry on this tradition of meeting. So, and Ken has some land right between the two main cemeteries in Tuscarawas County, right? He has a share of a farm, some of the family.
Well, he did just literally down the road from the cemetery in New Cumberland. And it belonged to he and his cousins. But last fall, because we felt the family was getting so big and what would happen when any of us died, and you're dividing up even more between everyone, we did go ahead and sell the land, so we don't own it anymore.
Ah.
Yeah, at the end of an era, we did take our pop-up and use the land, and there was always a contract farmer. But unfortunately, life does go on, and this is what we decided to do.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it'll still always be that little bit of your farm whenever I drive by.
Thank you.
Will you please give Ken our best? We want him to recover fully and thank him for his services as treasurer. I can't even remember how long he's been treasurer now, and he just always serves with a cheerful and humble heart year after year.
Thank you. I will pass that on.
All right, Melissa, I guess we saved the best for last.
Okay, I'm Melissa Ward, and I live in Yucaipa, California, which is not too far from Arlene. And I want to thank Arlene for trying to help with the DAR there. Also, I wanted to say that Janice Materna I'm doubly related to her. I'm related through Daniel's sixth child, Mary Magdalene Polly Shuster. And on page 422 of the Green Book, it has William A. Dolvin, and he was married to Mary Jane Reardon, who was my great-grandfather's sister. So that's how I'm doubly related to Janice. And my big news for this year was I turned 60 and I retired. So I was a elementary school librarian. So I retired now. And me and my husband, Bruce, we have 3 sons and we have 2 grandchildren, age 6 and almost 6 this month and 7. And also I'd like to say that if anybody has Netflix and if they watch Centaur World, it's a new cartoon if you have little kids. Our oldest son, Joseph Malachi Ward, goes by his middle name Malachi. He drew the backgrounds, so you can look at the beautiful backgrounds in that cartoon and see his name in the credits at the end.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So Melissa, you, for years and years, Ed Crocker and his wife Mary have been coming to these reunions, and they represent for Polly Shuster's line. And for years, he has wished to not be solo representing that line. And I keep in touch with him. They do not have internet that can support Zoom, so he was not able to join us on our Zooms. But someday, if you can make it out to a physical reunion, you'll just make his whole day, because he, for years, has been wanting someone else on that line to join him. So we're going to have to get you guys connected via email or something.
You know, we did make it out to one reunion a long time ago, and we met the Crockers.
Oh,
good. They're my great-great-grandfather. They're related to his sister, and that's
okay.
Also. So.
Do you remember when you came out? Was it like pre-2000?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So that was before my time even. So we'll have to get you out again.
Okay. Thank you.
I have some updates, everybody, from folks who couldn't make it but emailed. We have had 4 additional deaths recently within the last year or 2. Carl Warner passed away. Those of you coming to the physical reunions in the last many years, he was a stalwart. And actually, we lost his daughter Jackie in a tragic car accident a couple of years ago, and she was on the reunion committee at the time. And Carl's been cared for lovingly by his kids, and Rich is one of his sons that I keep up with. And Carl had cheerfully, when he lost his wife a few years back, he cheerfully moved to a facility, and just we lost him in 2020. So have good thoughts for Rich and his family, but you know, those folks live in our hearts, especially those of us who know them just from the reunions. And then Janice told me that was this your brother, Janice, that Les Flauhaus? Let me see. Maybe Brian can unmute you. There you go.
I'm sorry.
Your brother?
Oh, I lost a brother a year ago, April.
Was that Les?
Paul Richard.
Oh, Paul Richard. Paul Richard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he came maybe once or twice to the reunion.
And you had told me about Flauhaus and also Bob Diltz, correct?
Yes. Gladys was a Dolvin, Grant Dolvin's daughter.
Okay.
And they both passed away probably over a year ago. And Bob Diltz, we met him and his wife, she goes by Marnie, and we became close friends over the years because of this reunion and meeting at the reunion. And we used to go back and forth. They lived in Delaware. Now she's still living, but she's got Alzheimer's. And he passed away in November of last year. And let's see. Gladys and Les, I did mention them. She was a Dolphin, and he used to come when we used to have the reunions. Well, I think Cumberland, and then there was another place that we used to go before that. I forget, but he was a minister, Methodist minister, and he would always give the prayer, you know, before we ate.
He was
But
real tall, right? I remember him.
Yes.
Yes, I remember him. What a sweetie.
Yeah, that's the only updates then that I have.
Well, thank you. And I had my notes, so, but I knew you could do those updates better than I could. So thank you for that.
Okay.
So that's the updates on family and introductions. Next on our agenda is the approval of the 2020 minutes. And I know we had a couple corrections. You want to go ahead and take over, Jeff, and I'll let you run this part.
Okay. Well, the corrections were from the previous year, right? Is that what you're talking about, Debbie?
I think, let's see, Kathy, you had posted, no, I think it was from the 2020.
Oh, was it? Okay, well, let me read them and then I guess we'll go over them after that then.
Okay, perfect.
So the minutes from the 116th annual family reunion, which was held on Saturday, August 8th, 2020, and it was held virtually via the Zoom video application. The family reunion began at 1:00 p.m. Due to the on Zoom video due to the COVID-19 pandemic. There was lots of small talk and getting reacquainted. Debbie Schenker greeted everyone as they joined the conference for the reunion. We had 24 people in attendance from around the country, including the states of Ohio, Oklahoma, California, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Indiana, Minnesota, and Texas. Some attended via cell phones that were being passed around. Debbie Schenker called the meeting to order at 1:11 p.m. The officers were introduced. First-time attendees were John Schaub and Don Kamiga, and were welcomed. Brian Lux II introduced his wife and son, Charlie and Teresa, as first-timers. Each person on the conference provided updates on how they were doing, and it was announced that Peg Klotz had died. The minutes from the 2019 meeting were reviewed, corrected, and approved. Margaret Shuster's headstone was discussed. Ken Scott sent a request to a stonemason, but had not yet heard back from him. Ken said the stone is crumbling slightly in the back, but the back is fine. In the back, but is fine in the front. I'm sorry. So it's crumbling in the back, but it's fine in the front. The treasurer's report was reviewed, and some amounts were moved to the cemetery fund. There was $220.63 in the general fund and $392.50 in the cemetery fund for a total of $613.13. It was discussed on options on how to send donations. Election of officers were held for a 2-year term. It was moved by Sam Schenker and seconded by Arlene Stevens to keep the current officers for another 2 years. And again, that's president is Debbie Schenker, the vice president is Brian Lux, treasurer is Ken Scott, and secretary Jeff Marshall. It was discussed that the next year's reunion will be on August 7th, 2021, hopefully at the Shepherd of the Valley Church. And it was done by motion from Brian Lux and seconded by Pauline Scott. There were awards given for different categories. For the most experienced lady was Karen Skeels. The most experienced man was John Schaub. The youngest boy was Charlie Lux. The youngest girl was Zoella Rohr. And traveled the farthest to attend was Arlene Stevens and Melissa Ward. The newest married were Brian and Teresa Lux. Longest married were Carl and Kathy Sylvie, and also Bill and Karen Skeels. The most descendants attending were from Brian Lux. And for the most national college football championships, no one qualified, but maybe next year. The meeting was adjourned at 2:30. And after the meeting, a game of Kahoot was played on trivia about the reunion and the Schusters. First place was Jeff Marshall, and the second place was Arlene Stevens. Respectfully submitted, Jeff Marshall. And I know that I misspelled Teresa Lux's name. There's supposed to be an H in there. But what was the other correction then that you had?
Did you show a family there from New Jersey? My daughter Sarah Rohr with her 3 little girls were from New Jersey.
Yeah, that's in the sign sheet. I just put that.
I
just
missed
really
it.
saw the 2, but you said that she had all 3 daughters with her.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll update that to include that.
And
But I did list the 2 of them.
I think it was the Sylvia's first time attending too, Jeff. So they
Oh, was it? Okay.
first timers, and Susie was a first timer as well last year.
Sarah Lux Rohr wasn't a first timer. It's just that when you were listing where people were from, I don't know that you picked up New Jersey, and that's okay.
Okay, New Jersey. Okay, thank you.
Good addition. Thanks, Susan. Oh, look at that little face.
That's Charlie.
Oh my gosh. He's huge. What the?
How old is he?
2 years old.
Will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as read and corrected.
So moved.
Well, I need someone to make a motion because I'm president, so I can't.
So moved.
Oh, so you're making the motion. Okay.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? You're abstaining, Ellie. That's totally fine. You weren't there.
I wasn't there.
The minutes are approved, Jeff, as amended. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll move on to old business, which is an update on Margaret. I'm going to flip-flop this. Let's do the treasurer's report first as our old business, Pauline, because that will lead us more naturally into Margaret's replacement.
Thank you. Thank you. I will do that. Okay. We finished the year last year with $613.13 in the bank account. This year, since the last reunion, we took into the general fund $118.50, into the cemetery fund $561.50, making a total income of $680 with no expenses. Debbie did give $51 and something, I have the figure, that she paid for the pavilion. If we had met last year in person, she actually paid it herself, but she is offsetting that with the donation, and Ken will make an adjustment in this year's books. But it still comes out as, it doesn't make any difference to the end amount. And then, so in the general fund, we now have $339.13. In the cemetery fund, $954.00. And in the total reunion bank account, $1,293.13.
And I just dropped those figures in the chat for everybody. So for those of you who aren't as familiar, or Pauline, maybe you can explain the general fund versus the cemetery fund.
Well, literally the general fund is used to pay our expenses, like a contribution for hiring the hall when we met in Sandyville. Should Debbie buy prizes for the different categories that Jeff mentioned, she would take that money. If there were any other expenses for stationery, that would come out. Of late, Brian has always paid for the pop and the napkins and all that sort of thing. So really, we have very few expenses. And then the cemetery fund is there in order to restore, at this point, Daniel Shuster's stone in the Tuscarora Cemetery. And at this point, I will say Ken did write a letter before the last reunion, a long one, to someone asking about advice for repairing the stone, but we have not heard anything from them. And we did say we'd wait till we got to $1,000 in the cemetery account before we did any expenses from it.
Thank you, Pauline. And yeah, it's Margaret's stone that we are talking about, right? Not Daniel's.
Well, that's true. I always connect the two together. The oldest stones in the New Cumberland Cemetery, I believe.
Yes, those are the oldest stones. And for those of you that don't know that history, their graves were located in land that was subsequently flooded and used to, that land created Atwater Lake.
Atwood.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Atwood Lake, right?
Atwood Lake, yes.
Yeah.
And so we know that prior to that, we can't, I don't know that we've ever confirmed that the remains were actually moved. I don't know that, but I know that the stones themselves were moved to Cumberland Cemetery. And they are, those two graves, Daniel and Margaret's, are the oldest graves in that cemetery. And generally, after the physical reunions, we make a little pilgrimage to the cemeteries to pay our respects and just check on the upkeep of the stones, which is how we know, that Margaret's has been deteriorating. So this, it's been many years now that we'd used the money we'd raised from those old red books. I was given a case of the red books by Mary Haas, who was my grandmother's cousin, who was helped put those red books together. And she had given me a case of them and said, please do whatever. If you sell them, raise money for the reunion. And we chose early on to put any money raised from the sale of those books toward the cemetery fund so that we could restore stones. And I'm bad with dates. I don't remember how many years ago, you guys might, that we restored, added an additional stone for
Catherine.
That's right, for Catherine Shuster, Daniel's daughter, and listed on the back their children to help with genealogy efforts. And that's not in the New Cumberland Cemetery. That's actually in the old Trestle Cemetery, which is down the road. And so the reunion was able to do that. And that stone was super helpful and obviously has weathered well and is still there. So we decided we would just keep working on this project and that we would go back and do what we can to support and maintain Margaret's stone. And since all of us come from different children of the Schusters, we all have an interest in maintaining Daniel and Margaret's stones. So that's what we're working on. And it usually takes us, we're a small group and it usually takes us many, many years to raise the funds to do that. But we're getting close with $954 in the cemetery fund. So.
And may I just clarify for Jeff, the amount that Debbie paid for the pavilion, we'll call it, for last year was $51.80. And she's calling that a donation.
Okay, thank you.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report as given by Pauline with the correction.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Any discussion, questions, anything you guys want to know? If not, all in favor of approving as corrected?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstaining? All right, we're all good. For privacy purposes, last year a lot of people sent money to me via PayPal electronically and Venmo, and that was fine. But for privacy purposes, I just asked Pauline to provide the totals instead of the nitty-gritty breakdown of what everyone gave. Just, I don't know, it felt kind of icky to just be calling out publicly what people had donated. So the details are available for checking if anyone needed to do that or wanted to make sure their particular donation was received and transferred over. And the offer still stands. You guys can PayPal, Venmo, if you want to pay a donation electronically. Usually we do a raffle, a white elephant raffle, or we pass a literal hat for money. But obviously we can't do that. So I am looking so I can tell you my Venmo. And you can also just send a regular check to Pauline or to Ken. Pauline, can you tell them who they make that out to and what your address is while I look this up?
Yeah, actually, you will make it out to Kenneth Scott because we didn't want to pay fees on a separate reunion account. So it does go to Kenneth Scott. The check is to Kenneth Scott. Our address is 6263 West Mohican, Mohican Drive, Powell, Powell, Ohio 43065.
I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. There you go. So that's who checks would be made out to. And if you want to Venmo me, it is at DA Schinker. And I'll check my PayPal. Sorry, I should have done this before. This is not part of my normal reunion preparation. I guess it should be.
And Debbie, is this for just donation?
Yes. And you can specify it just, general support or cemetery fund, however you want. And actually, my PayPal is the same as my Venmo, so that's convenient. And then what I do is I can do an electronic transfer because I use the same bank that Ken does for the reunion money. So I can do an EFT, and I provide a full report to Ken and Pauline to Ken as treasurer of who's given what and a full accounting. So everything is very transparent and above board for this.
Just to be clear, for PayPal, it's supposed to be just your regular email address, right?
I think so. Let me give you that. There you go.
Okay, great.
All right.
And I must just add that Debbie and Jeff and Brian all have a copy of the list of all the income listed by people in 2020, just as we have done in previous years.
Because we usually pass a hat, it's usually an anonymous thing, and we just report an aggregate. And so that's why it just felt kind of odd to just be calling out all the individual names. So that's why I just thought it would be better to report it in total. But if you have a question about whether your donation was received, you can email Pauline or any of the officers, and they can verify. Someone can verify. Since you submitted it to me, and you want it verified by a different officer, totally fine that it was received. And so that really also covers the update on Margaret Stone. The update is there's no update. I mean, it is, and we're going to continue to collect money. I want to say that last time we replaced a stone, and it's been a good, so someone jump in and tell me how many years, maybe 8 years since we did that? 7 years?
Not quite sure now. I can't keep track like you of years anymore.
I can't either, but I know it was like around 1,200. So
it was around.
We're going to need between $1,200 and $1,500. And we had talked in the past about possibilities of things we could do. There's nothing on the back of Margaret Stone, so we were talking about possibly putting something, adhering something to the back of it. That would also be anchored in the ground so that we would preserve the original stone. That's our goal. But then also be able to put corrected information, because that stone actually has a death date that we know is not true or correct. And we know that because her will was recorded in a different time. I am not the genealogist that the rest of you are, but we know for a fact that the date on her stone is wrong. So part of what we do when we do these stone restorations is we like to put some context, but we could, we can do some printing, and we can also say that here's the correct information. And then we also do note the reunion committee was, the group that was able to put this stone up. So at the point that we would have the funds to do that, maybe even hopefully next year, then that would be something we would decide in the reunion what we'd want to do and what we'd want to say and how we would do that. And that's how it's happened in years past. And I think you can look on the website, the reunion website, because we have the minutes back. I think we have 8 or 9 years of minutes. So you can kind of look back and see how that process happened through the years with the other stone. All right. So we're up to new business, and I have 2 points of new business. The first one is what we always do, which is a discussion of next year's date and location. And the consensus on a physical reunion versus a virtual reunion is everybody wants both, because everybody local wants to come physically and some of you far away, and everybody far away still wants to be able to participate if they can't travel. So usually in recent years, we've held it at Brian and Susan's church, which is Shepherd of the Valley Church in Sandyville. But Brian, I am concerned that if we want to do something with Zoom, how is the internet there? And will we be able to get enough signal to do like the meeting on Zoom and in person?
We are up to speed with technology, and we actually have a young guy who's in charge of all kinds of technology. We have a big screen, 2 screens in the sanctuary. We have access to the internet. We're surprisingly up to date.
And the speed is okay, because I know in the area, I didn't know how good the speed was. It would support Zoom, do you think?
I would think so.
When I lose internet at my house, I drive up to the church and sit in their parking lot. So I think we're good. Yeah.
Awesome. So I will tell you guys that my husband is an IT director for a school district, and I know that it is actually super challenging to do a meeting where you have Zoom and in person, but I am determined that we will make this work with the technology at hand. Go ahead, Susie.
I was just at our local genealogy society meeting, and we are now doing all our meetings that way, combined Zoom and in person, and it worked like a charm. And so I was about to try to find out more about their setup, because we're going to try to do that with our DAR chapter meetings also. But it really worked extremely well. Someone really has to know how to use Zoom to hosting the meeting. But they actually were able to set up a little camera. And we had half our presenters were in person and half our presenters were remote. We switched back and forth, and they were even they got wireless microphones they passed around. So if someone in the audience wanted to ask a question, everyone could hear them, including the people on Zoom. And they had a little camera set up on a tripod that they could aim at the presenter, the live presenter, or they could turn around and aim at the audience. And it was just remarkably smooth. And they said they spent about $200 on all the equipment that was needed. But they're meeting also in a place that has a large screen and a built-in projector. And they just had to hook up a laptop to the projector. But I was very encouraged to see that it actually can be done very, very well.
Perfect.
I'll have to check with Jacob, who's in charge of that at our church. But we've had because of COVID, we've had a lot of virtual church meetings, and I know there's a way to record the pastor, and I think it can be done. I'll double check with him.
I'm 100% certain it can be done. I am just not certain that I can run the meeting and handle the tech. That's my concern. I will say I have some extra lighting. I have a ring light. I have a microphone that I can bring. If we can use what the church has, that would be helpful too. So maybe if he's willing to help, or if Susie's able to come into town and she's proficient with stuff, she might be willing to help. We'll be looking.
Yeah.
Susie's like, no.
What I can do is find out more details on exactly how this society worked it, because I was so impressed and I wanted to pass it on to our DAR chapter.
That would be great. And I think I put my husband on notice that he might get co-opted into helping with this reunion because it's so important to me. I might drag him down to run tech also, but
yeah, no, I'm not sure I can make Jake come to this thing and do it.
Jake, gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I may have to make a trip down before the reunion to scope it out and do a test run, but I'm really committed. I'm personally am committed to doing it both ways because I think it's how we keep this alive. We have been flagging in past years. We used to run around 24 to 30 folks attending, and we've just lost folks over the years, and we haven't had a lot of new folks come in. And you see who's here today, and I don't want this to die on my watch, and I don't care if it's 5 of us. I just want us to keep this thing going in whatever way we can. And the award for the most national football championships, my vow years ago was that I was going to stay volunteering as president until I got Jim Tressel to come to this reunion, because he used to come with his grandma when he was a little boy, and I used to be in touch with him on email. And last year I kind of made a plea. I'm like, can you please just come, just show up once? It would be such a boost. And then ever since I kind of made the plea, I haven't heard a peep from him. So I don't know him personally or anything, but
may I just ask? Sorry, may I just ask if you think there'll be any fee to do it by Zoom from the church? Susie, did you mention a fee of 200?
No, I didn't. So because we're a member of the church, and the Wanderers are too, right? Because their children are still there. We get to use the church for free, but what we would do is make a $50-ish donation for the cleanup. So now what I don't know is if Jake, Jake's a real nice guy, and we don't pay him now for anything, but if I asked him to come on a separate day to actually facilitate this for us, we would probably need to give him some sort of gift.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought maybe Susie Dakin said that there was a 200 fee when you did it through your...
I didn't.
Sorry. There's more than one Susie on here, and I've been ignoring that the whole time. I thought you meant me. Sorry.
No, I didn't mention any fee.
Oh,
Polly, what she said is that their DAR chapter spent about $200 on equipment.
Oh no, it's the Genealogy Society. Yeah, they
Gotcha.
That's what they spent to buy the equipment that they would need beyond what they already had. They bought a couple of wireless microphones and a tripod and a camera.
I would not think that we would need to spend any money. I know enough people who have things, including projectors if we need it, and other supplies. And I have a Zoom Pro account, which is why we can be on more than 40 minutes through my business.
Okay, Susan.
My own business. So
Susan Lux, I think your input was very helpful. And I'm sure if we have to give the man a donation, that we could do that too.
Yeah, it's usually our physical, our general fund usually runs low, like right around 100. But because we've not really had expenses the last couple of years, and through the generosity of people attending, because we have around 300, we would be able to afford that as a reunion committee.
Yeah,
so,
we would. Thank you.
I think we're in good shape. So we need to pick a date. I think that the place, we should officially pick a place, but the church sounds great. And we've moved the dates around in the past, but the last few years, the first Saturday in August has kind of been the date. We usually also try to work around the Pro Football Hall of Fame events, because that makes a lot of traffic a little bit north and can make it getting there difficult. Do you guys, Brian and Susan, since you're closest, do you happen to know when the Hall of Fame stuff will be next year?
I'm not sure. What the parade was today.
Okay.
For this year.
So I think we've been trending toward the first or the second Saturdays of August, but there's nothing set in stone. And those of you that are interested in coming and traveling, I'm gonna cross fingers and toes that we can be in person. So this is up for discussion from you guys. What looks good for you in terms of dates?
One of my clients is the chairman of the Hall of Fame Festival for 2022, so I can get the date from him, but I don't know it right now. So I'm looking it up online right now to see if I can just get the answer.
My guess is it's going to be the 6th, because that's the first weekend. I think they bop back and forth between 1st and 2nd. And the
Yeah.
reason it's an issue is that so many people come in from out of town that it's hard to get hotel rooms down around that area. So,
And I just Googled it and it said to be determined.
okay.
So.
Well, the other thing we could do is go later in August, like to the 20th, then we definitely miss it. But I don't know how that works for people traveling. I am completely open. So whatever everyone else wants to do, and usually the church does not have any conflicts because we're a year ahead. So what do you guys think?
That's true. If we get a date, I can call on Monday and ask about it. And they have their council meetings on Mondays, but I think they waived the August council meeting. So we may not get an approval till September, but I should be able to know. I'll just ask the church secretary. Has anybody else put this down yet? And they'll probably just, no worries. Right?
Susie,
So
you talked about traveling. Sylvie's, you talked about traveling. Do you have a preference on dates?
It's too far ahead to tell.
It doesn't matter to us.
No. We're good either way.
All right, then I'm going to throw out Saturday, August 13th, 2022 as a proposed date.
We're gonna be there even if you do Zoom.
Okay. And I'm going to throw out, well, actually, let me do it officially. So I will entertain a motion to hold the next reunion tentatively at Shepherd Valley Church in Sandyville on Saturday, August 13th, 2022.
So moved.
All right, thanks, Susie.
Second.
And any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining? I'm sorry, any noes? Any abstaining? All right, that's your date, folks. I'll put that up on the Facebook page. And that is always tentative, assuming we can get the church, but that's never been a problem before.
And what time do we meet?
Debbie,
Yes, Bill.
what is the Facebook page?
So it is the Shuster Trestle Wingate reunion. If you guys are on Facebook, you can find it, but I usually also keep the stuff up to date on the website. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, Karen is. She looks at all that.
no, she died.
Okay, Karen, I just sent you a friend request and then I can add you to the group. So we'll get you hooked up.
Okay, great.
Yay, yay. All right. Oh, okay. So question for you guys. I have not discussed this with anyone, even the other officers, so I'm just going to throw it out there. We have, as long as I've been involved, this has been referred to as the Shuster Trestle Wingate reunion. And I think there used to be a large contingent of Wingate folks. There's like a slew of Wingates, but in the most recent many years, we just haven't had many Wingates. And I wondered if it wouldn't make more sense for us to refer to this as the Daniel and Catherine Shuster, I'm sorry, Margaret and Daniel Shuster Descendants reunion, since we all were getting different branches coming down, not necessarily as many folks coming through the Trestle line or the Wingate line. I don't know, it just occurred to me that maybe the Trestle and the Wingate stuff could be off-putting for those of you that don't particularly have that affiliation. And my guess is that those were the families that were most instrumental in creating this reunion and keeping it going, but that's not really reflective of the current times. So I thought I would just put it out there and see what you guys think.
I think that's a good idea. But I don't know why that would hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't know why that would hurt anybody's feelings, and it seems more precise.
Right. I agree.
More simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I think that would have caught my attention sooner. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
What do you think? Ellie, does that make sense for you?
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head, and so I come down from the Wingate line.
Yes.
But I think ultimately we all have the same root, which is the Shuster line. And so I think in some respects it makes it more inclusive to narrow the name, because I didn't know how much the Trestles or the Wingates dominated it. I just kind of wondered, like, what's the politics and how did we get to their names being alongside Daniel and Margaret, where that's where
all I know about, I know Schuster Trestle Wingate goes back a long way, but Wingate, you go down 2 generations from Daniel and Margaret to get to, and Trestle, you only go down 1 generation. And I think it may have, we have some evidence that this may actually have descended from a Trestle family reunion, but it's obviously meant to include all descendants of Daniel and Margaret Shuster. And so I don't have any problem with just calling it Daniel and Margaret Shuster. If anything, Trestle is maybe more central, but again, it's you'd have to go at least 1 more generation down from them, and then that wouldn't include the Wingates, who are obviously meant to be included. So,
genealogically, John Shuster, Daniel and Margaret's son, John Shuster, married Elizabeth Davis Wingate. But that name wouldn't have come in then. I'm looking at my posters.
Yeah.
There was some the Wingates come in on another place too, and then like you said, Catherine Shuster married George Franklin Trestle, so another daughter. So, but I don't know, like the politics, whatever the politics were, are long gone because people are gone.
I think it was just a matter of who was showing up to the reunion.
Well, from what I understand, the Wingates had done a family history, and so some of the data in the first book came from the Wingates' effort to document their family history. I think that's in the Red Book, but no, I think Daniel and Margaret's great.
Okay, yeah, Rita Wingate was on the reunion committee for many years. President and historian, and she was a spouse, had married in, and had done a huge, almost like the Green Book for the Schusters, had done that on the Wingate side.
Several copies of it.
Her in many years now. All right, well, I guess I will entertain an official motion that we change all of our official stuff, such as it is, to the Daniel and Margaret Shuster Descendants.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right. Woohoo. I think that'll just, hopefully we'll bring in more folks that way.
I couldn't find them. I thought they might be back in the ancestry closet.
I'd have to look. I don't know where they're at.
All right, let's see. That is all of our businessy business. I have for us not a Kahoot. So we try to do something entertaining each year. In past years, and this again goes back when we were gathered in person years and years before my time. They used to have, it was an all-day event, and they'd have family sports and different things that happened. And then in the 20 years that I've been involved, sometimes it had family talent shows or people presenting music, or have come up with some kind of a quiz or just fun activity. So last year we did a Kahoot. So that's an online kind of a trivia quiz game for those of you who are not aware. But I went old school this year, and I have a scavenger hunt. So
you may lose.
If you guys are interested in participating, I think it will take no more than half an hour. It will involve you getting up and moving a little bit, and then bringing things back to the camera. And it's just for fun, unless you want to make it something that a prize is awarded. I could give out like a $5 or $10 Amazon gift card if you want to do it for prize money, or we could just do it for fun. But
Hi, everyone. I'm going to have to put my nurse's cap back on, please. So I'm going to have to say goodbye, but I've really enjoyed the meeting. I'll share it with Ken, and stay safe the next year.
Hey, Pauline, because we're recording this, I will be able to send him a link to be able to watch the whole thing, okay?
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
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 See you next year, I hope.
Yep.
Maybe before that. I'll call you.
Yes, please do, Debbie.
So, are you guys up for a scavenger hunt?
Sure.
Sure.
All right. So you will each need to participate. You will just need a piece of paper and something to write with. Because this is on the honor system, I am not keeping score. My brain cannot have that capacity. And those of you with more than one person, I guess you'll have a little bit of advantage because like you can both run or something. I have, it's 13 things that you'll be fetching. You'll get 1 minute to find the item and show it to the camera. And the first person back gets 5 points. And then anybody else that comes back in 1 minute with your item, you get 1 point. So that's our scoring.
Oh, you're doing it. No, that's for you.
So now your device has to stay put. So no taking your iPad around because we'll all get like seasick. Also, you cannot use your cell phone to find a picture of the item and do it really fast that way. It has to be the physical item. No cheating. And you can't use one item for 2 categories. Every item has to be different. Got it? That all makes sense?
So far.
All right. I have a longer version. We're going to do the shorter version. Just because I don't know how long this will quite take, and I need a timer on my phone. So hang on 1 second. Let me
I got a pen too.
Oh, and it will be helpful for you after you bring the item back. You might just want to keep track of what the request was. There might be a benefit to you at the end to keeping track of each item, but do it after you've fetched it so you don't mess up your time. All right. Hold on, let me find my app.
I hope she didn't ask for the Trussell Schuster book because I can't find it. I don't know where to put those things. I should have looked for them.
I'm not sure where it is.
I'll think.
All right, I've got my 1 minute timer.
Oh, look, and I can't find it.
All right, everybody ready? Everybody has a piece of paper and a pen? Oh, look, Brian is like ready to go. Don't blow anybody over, Brian, when you're running through the house. All right, your first item, and you will have 1 minute, is to find something related to Disney. Find a Disney item. Go.
Well, I lost already because I'm not a big Disney fan. I don't have anything related to Disney.
That's okay.
That is not my happiest place on earth.
All right, 5 points for Jeff. He found a Peter Pan book. Nice. Nice. So Jeff, you can mark yourself down for 5 points.
Okay.
So you're good. You got a point.
Debbie,
Yes, sir.
just to interrupt. Karen and I have to leave, but
Okay.
we thank you so much. This has been a great meeting, and hope to see you guys hopefully in person next year if it all pans out.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Kathy. Woohoo! Point for Kathy.
I don't know if Pooh Bear can.
Yes, Pooh Bear counts.
Pooh Bear counts.
Okay, wait. All right.
1 point. The
Did
first
you
one
find
down.
anything, Ellie? All right. We're giving it to you. It was a teeny bit out of the time, but that's good. We're okay. All right, that was your first item. So everybody might want to write down Disney. Next item, some kind of art supply. Art supply, go. All right, Melissa. An acrylics, perfect, yes. Melissa's first, so she gets 5 points. Brian, that looks great. Susie looks great. Arlene, I got it. Ooh,
Give that to,
nice.
those are for Jan. The paint's for Jan.
All right.
Because she's at my house.
Perfect. You guys can play as one team. Elliot's totally committed. She's like bringing giant things to the screen.
Had to run a distance to get those.
Oh, Kathy's on the hunt. Jeff's on the hunt. They haven't come back yet. Ellie, are your kids around?
Yeah, kind of. Two
Okay.
left, three.
All
me grab
right. Jeff, they could help you. Jeff and Kathy, you got it. Good. Jeff, I totally forgot to do our normal category prizes.
Yeah.
I guess we'll skip that this year.
Okay.
Or we could do it after.
Yeah.
I totally dropped the ball on that. All right. Art, so I think if you all brought it back, check it off. That was art supplies. All right, number 3, ready? You are looking for nail clippers. Oh, Carl, you're super fast. 5 points for Carl. Melissa's got it. Jeff's got it. Oh my golly, he's got the whole like grooming. Susie's got it.
That's Susan.
Okay. That was a good one. Who are we still waiting on? Oh, Ellie.
Good night. I have to keep running down the hall. I'm not fast enough.
I thought Brian was getting ready to run, but I think he's making you run, Susan.
Yeah, he wouldn't know where this stuff is.
All right. Did you get it? All right. 12 seconds to spare. Oh, you guys are all good. I thought this would be harder. All right. Let me check my. All right. Next one. And this is open to interpretation. Something that represents an indoor activity. An indoor activity.
Watching TV.
Watching the Olympics with my remote.
Woo! All right, I saw Kathy's mixer first, though. So, Kathy, you guys write down your 5 points. Brian, Susan, you're good. Oh, nice, Ellie. Fox. Reading, Susie, love it. Awesome.
Would have been good. Book maybe.
Yeah. Ah, cooking, nice, Melissa.
Let me grab the pan.
What you got, Arlene? Are you frozen? You're just hanging out?
I don't think we're going to win. We haven't
Yeah.
yet.
That's all right. It's all good. We have 10 seconds left. 4, 3, 2. What you got, Jeff?
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
I can't
All
think.
right. All right. That was a hard one. You guys are very creative. What do we have? We had cooking, watching TV, Xbox, reading. That was good. All right. Next one. An empty toilet paper roll.
What?
An empty toilet paper roll.
I did all the trash today.
Ah! All right, Susan, you guys get 5 points for being first. I was envisioning like someone pulling it off. Oh, nice, Kathy. Very good. 1 point. You weren't first, though. Susie's got a point.
5
You got
points.
5,
I got
huh?
5 points for that.
Susan was first. She was quick. I'm envisioning like someone literally pulling all their toilet paper off.
What was that? Which bathroom was it?
It was in my recycling bin.
Nice.
Put a cord in.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I just finished my.
So Arlene, did you make that quilt behind you?
Cord in one.
That's a good idea.
No, I didn't make it. I bought it. It's
It's
probably
beautiful.
about 1870s
This
quilt.
goes on my dresser. You know where this goes.
Wow. That's super cool. What are the little square? Oh, that's our time.
It's a log cabin quilt.
Okay. Hi, Melissa,
Sunshine
you
and
got it.
Shadow.
What?
Log cabin, that's cool.
So I can share. So this quilt right here was, oops, behind me. This one right here was made by my grandfather and Florence Schuster in about 1920.
Wow.
Cool.
That's super cool.
Looking for quilts.
No, I didn't hear.
Okay.
No,
Well,
we just all happen to be showing quilts that are at our house. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was confused.
I have a ton. I'm just hiding stuff because my office is now in my bedroom. So I put
totally
it up behind me.
understood. It's so pretty though. All right, scavenger hunt next. Leftover food.
Can I introduce the crew? So this is my husband, Dave. And come here. This is Alex.
Hi,
And
Alex.
back there's Henry. And then our other daughter, Harriet, is at a friend's house.
Nice.
Here's the crew.
Hey, it's nice to meet you guys.
They are so tired of hearing about Daniel and Margaret Shuster.
Well, hey guys, here's the deal. We are all descended from them. So they're not just like people that your mom's talking about. Like we're from like some of us 8, 9 generations back. So hi, cousin. You're my cousin.
Hello. Hello.
All right.
Good to see you all.
It was nice to meet you. Maybe I'll see you in person someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, who's the fuzzy one, Ellie? Is there a fuzzy?
Oh, that's our pandemic dog, Lenny.
Lenny, come here. Come here, Lenny.
Yeah.
Huh?
Look.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's a sweetie. And then is the pandemic cat over in the chair?
Oh, nice.
Can you see? Oh, little black cat.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
I wanted a pandemic dog, but I was overruled, so. All right. I think Susan's going to win because she ran before the family was introduced. We're going to try again. Leftover food.
Oh, no problem. Yep.
Susan, you can give yourself 5 points because you were.
Oh, I will do that. Thank you. This is leftover from 6. It's the don't eat the last
What
cookie.
is it? Yoder's.
Yeah, it's a molasses cookie.
Oh, yum. What is that, Kathy? Oh, wait, you're muted.
Leftover food.
Yeah,
Yum.
roast beef and potatoes.
That looks good. Ooh, Melissa, sausage.
I actually have food, but none of it is left over.
So I have world
carrots.
famous Kansas City barbecue.
Ooh. Oh, wait, what was that, Jeff? I missed what you had.
I got carrots.
Carrots, that works. So when we do this in person, we do always have a potluck lunch, just so, but you don't have to necessarily cook it yourself. We accept
Oh, isn't that cute?
whatever, anything, so.
Isn't that cute?
All right.
Oh.
You're keeping your scores, right?
Hmm.
All right. We're about halfway through. Next thing to fetch. Soap.
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 So,
Soap or salt?
soap or
Soap.
salt?
Soap. SOAP, soap.
Soap.
There we go. All right. Susan's like on it. Like Jeff was close. Woo, you guys are fast. Oh, nice, Kathy. I wouldn't have thought of dish soap. That was good. Melissa's got it. The Watkins. Susie's got like 6 of them, I think. Oh, okay. think it helps if you have a small house.
It does.
I'm in my basement, so if I were participating, I would be like getting extra steps and never winning.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be running up and down the
I'd
steps.
be,
Go ahead and sit.
I'm good.
all right, wait, was that everybody? Okay. You guys didn't even need the whole minute. All right, along the same lines, hand lotion.
Oh,
Oh, Ellie wins! 5 points for Ellie. It's right there. Nice, Melissa.
I didn't score 5 points.
I don't think that's your hand lotion, Jeff, is it?
No.
I can see now what everybody uses. Oh, you guys rock at this. All right. Ellie had it like just out of sight. So you all appeared and Ellie went like this and there it was. So it's perfect. All right. All right. This one might be hard. Unopened mail. A piece of unopened mail.
I don't know, Brian. I don't think that exists.
Oh, Susie got it. Woohoo! That was fast, Susie. Melissa, you're close second almost every time. Nice, Kathy. I'd be digging that out of my recycle bin, I think.
Nothing here.
Nothing here.
Nothing?
No.
Debbie, I
Ellie's
have to
got
sign
it.
off. I'm gonna take off.
All right, Arlene, thank you so much.
We'll see you later.
I hope
Bye.
we'll get to see you maybe in person next year.
I don't know. I'm still working part-time and our school year starts yesterday.
Oh, it starts so early.
August is- yeah.
That's awful.
Well, we'll see you via Zoom if nothing else, maybe, okay?
Yes, I love the Zoom. Thanks.
Big hugs to you, Arlene. Big hugs.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
That was our minute. All right, I think this is the hardest one of all. You have to find a shamrock.
A shamrock.
A shamrock. Like St. Patrick's Day, like a 3 or 4 leaf clover. I know, Ellie, I feel like everything could be in that room. It's really cool space.
Thanks. I'm thinking I'm not gonna have a shamrock in the house,
Okay.
or at least within a minute.
Oh, Melissa!
Nice.
She wins! Did you go outside? I love it. 5 points, Melissa. You were duped for a first place there. Ellie, what kind of law do you practice?
She apparently went outside and picked a clover.
So, two kinds. I work for Social Security, and so there's litigation related to disability claims in federal court.
Okay.
And then also civil rights and employment discrimination claims on the defense side.
Oh, wow.
Before the EEOC, and then sometimes in federal court if it's appealed.
Okay.
To that level.
That's cool. That's very heavy duty.
Thanks.
I could draw one.
All right, Janice, whatever they're doing, they're past their minute. It's not going to count. Tell them they're out of time.
oh, well.
Okay, because I drew one for you.
Oh, Susie, how cute. It's past time, though. It doesn't count.
That's all right.
It was my grandmother.
Here, put it close. Put it close so we can see it. Oh, that's pretty.
That is pretty.
Yeah, it took a while to find it, though.
All right, and I did not make all these up. I found these from a website, so some of the crazy ones I take no credit for. All right, 3 left.
Oh.
Teddy bear. Find a teddy bear. Kathy's thinking. Kathy's thinking. Melissa, 5 points. Nice.
Yes.
Good job, Susan. I know that was you and not your husband.
That was 1 point, right? Somebody else already did that.
Yeah, Melissa's catching it fast. Oh, nice, Susie. It's
Will a monkey do?
Sure, we'll count the monkey, Kathy.
Monkey.
We'll pretend he's dressed up like a bear.
Someone showed a monkey.
All right. I think that's everybody. All right, this is the second hardest one. Some kind of expired food.
Expired food.
Expired food.
Crashers.
Probably got it, didn't it?
Strawberries.
Oh.
Right there.
Salad dressing.
Wasted my time.
Oh, salad dressing. That's a good one. That always is expired, I feel.
Yeah, I was looking to find something that's got a little data on it.
21,
We need
51.
Jeopardy music. Near, 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 near. Nice. Oh, nice. Good job, Kathy. 5 points.
It's going in the trash.
What did she have? A jar of mayonnaise?
She had a jar of
Tartar
salad
sauce.
dressing that was expired. Nice.
Tartar
All
sauce.
right.
Okay.
You don't get the 5 points, Chef. You were second, so you get one.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Ellie. Those
Oh, that's
clearly
bananas.
expired. All right, that's time.
No
Oh.
expired stuff for me.
We'll give it to you, Melissa. You were within 1 second. No
Might have had
expired stuff.
expired
That's good. I'm sure that I would have found something. All right, this is our last one.
Yeah, it's 13.
And this is, you have to find something red, the color red. Go.
Oh.
Kathy Sylvie, all right. 5 points for Kathy and 1 point for the rest of you. One.
Go.
Bravo! I see it, Ellie. Nice. All right, add up your points.
What if we're not sure whether we were first on something?
I always told you if you were first.
Well, I wasn't really sure. Yeah.
20.
We had 28.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I only had 12.
What did you have me as first on?
I wasn't keeping track.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was always just telling whoever was first, I was yelling it out. I would say give yourself 5 points. So, all right. Well, let's start at the bottom. So who had 10 points? Raise your hand if you had 10 points or more.
Oh.
Everybody had 10 points or more?
Well, it depends whether I was first on one of them. I know I put my thing up before you called out someone's name, but then you called out someone else's name.
We had 22.
Okay. How many of those were questionable, Susie?
Well, I had 2 that were questionable, but I don't know.
All right. All right.
I had no more than 2 that I might have been first.
Well, give yourself extra 10 points there just to be safe. There's no skin in the game, so just bragging rights in the minutes. So, all right, everybody had 10 points at least, yes.
Mhm.
So keep your hands up if you had 15 points or more. Oh, Jeff's out. Jeff's out. All right. How about 20 points or more? Oh, and we're up to 3, 3-way tie. All right. How about 25 points or more?
There you go.
Did you guys drop out, Brian and Susan?
Yep, we're out.
All right, so we're down to Kathy and Melissa. How many did you guys have? You're muted.
I had
28.
28 for Melissa and 25 for Kathy?
no,
28.
I had 25.
Oh, you had 25, Melissa? All right. So provisionally, all right, Kathy and Carl are the winners. Now I'm gonna give out bragging rights to anyone who can look at their clues and tell me what the theme was for the clues, or something that's significant. Remember I told you, right? Go ahead, Susie, what?
Pandemic.
Nope.
Nope.
There's something about the clues, if you wrote them down.
Disney, Shamrock, expired, red.
Daniel Shuster.
Yeah.
Daniel Shuster.
Oh, no.
There you go.
That was
All the
clever.
clues spelled Daniel Shuster. The items all spelled Daniel Shuster.
That was really smart.
I had a longer version because I had a list for and Margaret too, but then I thought, oh, it's going to take too much time.
I'm going to do that for one of the kids' birthday parties. What fun is that?
Yeah, you can actually find those online, and then
Oh, yeah.
I just thought about anagramming it, so I was just able to fill in some other stuff. So.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's cute. That's cute.
And I guess this replaces our award categories that we've had forever because I forgot to do them. So we'll take a year break on those and do them next year.
Yeah, I tore it up to boot.
I have flood. I don't know what I was
That was
meaning.
fun, you guys. I try to do something different every year. So I don't know if we can do that at the church, but if anybody has ideas of games, well, gosh, if we're gonna have them at the church and on Zoom,
leftover food,
that'll work. Maybe we'll have to go back to the Kahoot game that we can play. Everybody, I don't know.
So are we getting ready to get off?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so before we go, I'll share something I found, and I don't know if people have seen it before, but it was published in 1976 to commemorate 200 years of Amwell Township, where Daniel came from. And they've got a little paragraph on him in here, and it had information in it that I'd never seen before. But it talks about who he ultimately sold his property to. And then someone mentioned visiting the property. And so on here it says that he had the tavern, and then after they became more prosperous, he moved up to the top of the ridge and built the big house that also served as the tavern, but that the original tavern became part of the Wriggle Barn, is what it says. And then I found this cool map that I don't know if people have seen before, but it's it's really hard to see, but it has his property on there, pulled out, that falls somewhere in here. But his piece of land was shaped like it's called the gun stock, was what they called the piece of property, because it was shaped like a gun barrel. So some of you might already knew that, but I thought it was pretty interesting.
Ellie, I have never heard either of those things. Are you on our Facebook group?
I am.
Okay. If you have a chance, if you can scan any of that or put it there, that would be super cool. Okay. And actually, that might be neat to put on the website too for people who aren't on Facebook.
And then then it has a bunch of maps in the back you can see, and so it records who he. So he sold his land to the Moningers or Morningers. I've seen it several different ways. He sold it to the Morningers and the Wriggles, and these old maps really detail the property that as it was after he sold it, but it would help people locate it too.
That's cool.
So
who is that?
That's Chester Bryce Tressel, World War I.
Oh, super cool. He would have been, tell us where he was in Daniel's line. No?
Yeah, we lose. Hopefully
I got him. Wait. Daughter, great. So he was a great grandson.
Great grandson
of Daniel and Margaret, because I'm looking at my chart. He was grandpa, right?
He was my grandfather.
Yep.
Yep.
So it just occurred to me, if you guys ever wanted to like write a little blurb that I could put on the website, because the website only has pretty much the minutes and the like only reunion stuff, just because no one's ever like wanted to put stuff up, or
Yeah.
another way to help people find the reunions. But we could put content up there too. If anyone's interested in like helping with that, I can put you on there so you could post, or you could send stuff to me and I could post. Oh, the website. Let me find the address, Kathy, for you.
Don't think your face. No, you don't want your face in there.
Let me find.
Able to contact.
There we go.
Marty Chuning. You can ask her.
Oh yes, Jan Materna. I did contact them.
Oh, you heard me. Okay.
Did hear you. There's the website. It's schustertresselwingate.wordpress.com. So you guys can go out to that website. Janice, yes, I did. So I didn't get through to Marty. She didn't answer her phone, but I got through to her daughter, and her daughter said that she does not do anything online like you, but that she would pass the word on to her mom and, you know, send our best wishes. And her daughter was going to try to get on today, but obviously that didn't happen.
Okay. Thank you.
But she gave me, I did email her all the reunion info. I have her email now from you. Thank you. Or from her. And she was going to send it to Natalie Stock, who I remembered from reunions years ago, because her son was like the youngest one a couple of years in a row with my daughter.
Yes. Okay.
So hopefully we've looped them back in the loop now in terms of the reunions. So
good. She lives in either Dover or Newfield.
Oh, that's not
Natalie Stark.
So, and you guys feel free, like if you have other folks that, you know, you can forward the emails to, but I can also add them to the reunion database so that they get the messages. I usually send out the info about the reunions anywhere from like 1 to 3 months ahead, depending on how organized I am. And then, and we're only send out via email. And then we sometimes, like Jan, we try to remember to call you, but we usually fail at that. So we rely on other folks to let you know.
Usually Pauline calls, or I call
Okay,
her.
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I am not good about remembering that some people don't use computers, so I always forget that piece. Or Jeff, you know what? That might be something we could add to the list. If I email Jeff, maybe you could call folks that don't have email.
Okay, that's fine.
Next year. That would be great.
And Ellie, do we have your email address?
I don't know. Do you want me to just say it?
Well, or just type it in the chat here.
Or drop it in the chat.
Yeah,
okay.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, that way we can get you on the database for the reunion, so you'll get the email links and stuff. So. All right, so Sylvie, we're gonna see you next year, Sylvie's right? In person?
Yes, yes.
Yay, DAR sisters, and maybe Susie too, I really hope. That would be great.
I hope so. I hope so.
And I'm gonna officially adjourn the meeting then at 3:17.
Tell your husband we said hello.
Bye-bye.
See you, Brian. Thank you for checking with the church.
No problem.
And Ellie, I'm super glad that you found us.
Me too.
And your space is delightful. Like, I just want to come sit in that room and hear all those things.
Thanks.
I just love it. And tell me again what state you're in. Missouri?
Missouri.
Okay. I don't know. I've been through or to almost every state. No, I have been to Missouri because I've been to St. Louis, so that counts. Well, anybody, if you're ever passing through Ohio or coming in for the reunions, you're welcome to stay here. I would love to host you.
Thanks for hosting today, Debbie, and organizing and keeping it alive.
You guys are the best. We will keep it going because look, we're the next generations now, so we'll keep it going.
Thank you.
Bye,
Nice
everybody.
to meet you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.